The sky wasn't blue anymore. It hadn't been for years. It hovered somewhere between ash and rust. The sun was a rare sight behind the dust. Elia Carter stood at the edge of her dead soybean field, boots buried in cracked soil, watching a swirl of dust rise like smoke from a fire that had already burned itself out. Half the crop had never sprouted. The rest had grown just tall enough to die standing. She spat, missed the dirt, and cursed. Her mouth was too dry after hours of hard work. August used to mean harvest time. Now it meant drought notices, debt calls, and another stack of digital forms that decided whether she starved officially or unofficially. She was 28 and already looked older than her mother had at 50. Farming aged you twice as fast now. Grief did the rest. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. She didn't check it. Every message was a reminder that she was overdue on the bills. She stared across the field, remembering how her father used to say the soil could talk. You just had to listen. But the earth had stopped speaking years ago. All it did now was crack. A truck rumbled up behind her. Her younger brother Mason climbed out, face streaked with dust. He tossed her a canteen. "You see the sky?" he asked. "I see it every day." "No, really see it. That's not just dust. There's ash in it." "Another grain silo fire?" "Yeah. Kansas City went up last night. Food depot. 80 dead." Elia took a sip, grimaced at the metallic taste. "This place'll go next. Not if we leave first." She laughed once, dry, bitter. "And go where? You got paradise hidden under that truck seat." Mason looked away. "There are companies offering relocation. If you sell, I'm not selling." "Elia, this land was Granddad's." He fought through the water wars to keep it. "I'm not handing it over for a bus ticket and a concrete box." The wind sighed between them, and the noise of a loose panel clattered against the barn. Their father had told them stories once, back when they were children. He'd sat at the kitchen table sharpening a pocket knife while the lights flickered through the power cuts, saying, "Water makes people civil, until it's gone. Then some come with guns and smile while they steal of you." Now the same soil that had once fed 3 counties couldn't keep a crow alive. But Elia stayed, because leaving meant admitting it was all over. Mason cleared his throat. "You should see this," he said, pulling out his phone. A clean, glassy ad shimmered on the screen. Drone shots of green fields, chrome tractors, smiling families that looked like they'd never missed a meal. "Introducing Para Farms," said a smooth voiceover. "The next generation of agriculture. Gen-locked superseeds, 0 waste, 0 pests, full automation. Grow anywhere," Elia squinted. "Looks like a scam." "They're real," he said. "Somebody 2 counties over already doubled their yield. With what water? Doesn't need much. Drone-delivered enzymes, remote-controlled. It's like farming from your phone." She didn't answer. The ad ended with a single perfect ear of corn rising from cracked ground, shining gold under the sun. She stared at her ruined field, at the cracks shaped like rivers that had dried before she was born. She thought of her calloused hands, of the years she'd spent trying to coax life out of dust. "You thinking of trying it?" she asked. "I already did." She looked at him sharply. "You what?" "Just a trial. Free starter pack. I filled out the forms. It was easy." He didn't say what those forms had asked for. He didn't say that the fine print mentioned Echelon Dynamics. A holding partner, buried in grey text at the bottom. Most people never saw it. That was how Echelon liked it. He watched his sister turn away, jaw tight. She didn't know yet what kind of deal he'd made. He wasn't sure he did either. Far from that dying farm, in a glass tower surrounded by soldiers and cameras, Dr. Lena Strauss stared at a map of the United States glowing red. Red meant failure. Drought, famine, soil collapse. Every week the color spread. Behind her, the door hissed open. Howard Dawson entered. Clean suit, close-cut hair, calm eyes that had seen worse things than drought. "I can fix it," he said, placing a drive on the table. "Who are you?" Strauss asked. "Parafarms," he said. "Subsidiary of Echelon Dynamics." That name hung heavy. Echelon built drones, satellites, surveillance grids, and now seeds. Always the same promise. Control dressed as salvation. He tapped the drive and projections filled the air. Crops sprouting from sand. Enzyme delivery drones tracing clean, clinical paths over continents. "You can't grow food on dead land," someone said. "You can if you give the ground what it needs," Dawson replied. "Paraseed is gene-locked. It grows only when we say so. No theft, no waste, no rebellion." Strauss frowned. "And if Parafarms decides to turn it off?" He smiled slightly. "If you are not misusing the product, why would we turn it off?" The meeting ended without consent, but with inevitability. Governments were starving. Hope was worth any price. 6 days later, a matte black drone hovered above Elia's farm and lowered a sealed case into the dust and shot off high into the sky. Inside were rows of translucent pods, smooth as glass, each one glowing faintly from within. A note read, "Activate within 12 hours." Mason grinned. "Told you it was real." "Still looks like a bomb," Elia muttered. They planted every pod by hand. The dirt was hot enough to crack skin, but the app told them it was fine. When they hit confirm planting, a new drone arrived, spraying a fine amber mist that shimmered in the dry air. Minutes later, the ground stirred. Tiny green shoots broke through the surface. Not in days, in seconds. Elia fell to her knees, staring as the first leaf unfurled under her hand. The soil beneath it was wet, impossibly wet. By morning, the field was alive. Neighbors came. News spread. A miracle farm in the Dust Belt. Reporters begged for interviews. Elia said no. She didn't want to explain what she couldn't understand. She just watched the plants grow. Watched them shimmer under light that wasn't sunlight anymore. Watched the app send her messages about enzyme levels, soil telemetry, and something called a para-score. The higher the score, the healthier the field. The more the app learned, the better the crops. Mason said it was just optimization, but the app didn't stop at soil data. It began asking for more: camera access, movement data, biometric sync. Elia denied the first few prompts. Then the system locked her out. She re-enabled it, thinking it was a glitch. It wasn't. Weeks passed. The plants reached shoulder height, deep green, glossy leaves, no pests, no rot. But they didn't sway in the wind. They stood too still, like listening. Then the dreams began. She'd wake to find dirt under her nails, though she hadn't been outside. The app pinged her at 3 a.m. with messages. Soil activity detected. Growth optimized. Thank you for your contribution. When she checked the fields, new rows had appeared. Perfect, symmetrical. Seeds she hadn't planted. Mason thought she was sleepwalking. She thought maybe he was right, until one night she saw the drones. Not one or two, but dozens, silent black forms looking after the crops and spraying mist across the property. The plants shimmered silver in their light. The air smelled metallic, sweet, wrong. She tried to record it, but her phone camera wouldn't focus. The app froze, then rebooted with a new message. Maintenance. Thank you for your cooperation. By harvest, the plants were enormous, too perfect. The corn kernels pulsed faintly, like breathing. When she cut one open, a warm vapor escaped. It smelled like rain, but left an aftertaste of metal. Mason insisted it was just engineered humidity retention. It's science, he said. It's supposed to work like this. But the livestock wouldn't go near the field. The birds stopped landing. Even the wind changed direction. Then came the recall notice. A government bulletin. Para Farms is under investigation for biointegrity breaches. Early reports suggest potential toxicity in human consumption. All active plots to be disabled, pending review. Elia read it twice. Toxicity? She whispered. No one ever confirmed it. Some said the crops were fine, that the shutdown came because Echelon Dynamics pulled funding after a trade dispute, folding Para Farms overnight to avoid liability. Others said the food made people sick. Whatever the truth, Para Farms went dark. That night, Elia's field fell silent. The leaves stopped glowing. The soil turned dry again, fast. When she opened the app, it showed only one line. Connection to Para Farms terminated. The next morning, Mason stood barefoot in the field, staring at the dead plants. They shut it off, he said. It's over. Elia looked past him at the horizon. The silence was too complete. Even the insects were gone. She knelt, touched the ground. It was cold now, lifeless and dry. Across the world, Para Farms servers blinked out one by one. The networks went dark without warning. Drones dropped from the sky like spent shells. Fields withered overnight, leaving behind strange mineral veins where roots had once been. No statement came from Echelon. No trace of Para Farms remained online. The company's patents were sold, renamed, and repackaged. New slogans rose where the old ones fell. Elia packed what she could carry and said no more. Seeing the field fail again, it was the last time she couldn't do it anymore. She sold the farm. She didn't know where she was going, only that she couldn't stay. Before leaving, she turned once more to the field. The sun broke briefly through the haze, striking the dirt in a way that made it look like something buried there was shining faintly back. She thought she heard a hum, like breathing, like the earth remembering. Then it was gone. Some say Para Farms was a failure. Some say it was a test. Some whisper that the seeds were never really dead, just dormant. The world keeps growing things it doesn't understand. Governments fall, farms fail. But Echelon Dynamics always finds new ground to grow in.